everyone, welcome back to another color class, and I'm Sarah.
I'm Lucinda.
And in this color class, it is all about weddings and brides and your best colors and jewelry. So we are diving into it all today.
Absolutely. We have a client who was smart enough to bring us in prior to her making a lot of decisions. Sometimes people wait until the very last minute to bring in their color analyst and get their advice, and sometimes decisions are made and you're working kind of to fix things rather than to make things absolutely perfect. So in this case, we are making things absolutely perfect, and we got permission and decided to bring the information that we're sharing with her at this juncture to you.
Mm-hmm. So the first thing that we really want to delve into is warm versus cool. Now I'm going to show an image on the screen. On the left, we have our cool model, and on the right, we have our warm model. And this is kind of the basis when it comes to color analysis. Are you cool or are you warm?
Right. And how do you tell? You look for red or gold highlights in your hair. And
simple as that.
If you have red highlights or gold highlights in your hair, you're setting off a warm vibe. Now, this is the eternal question. Is your skin tone warm? Are all these other things warm? Here's a wedding where you really need to look at your hair, because not only will people see you from the front, people will see you from the back. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, for example, Sarah's a case where you can have very red hair and look better in clothing for someone with red hair with a very cool skin tone. She has a very cool skin tone. So it doesn't always match up, and her eyes are neutral. So what we want to do is take her dominant characteristic, and that's the thing we play to, mm-hmm. and that would be her hair. So I may have made it more complicated than it needs to be for you. Trust me you need to look at the hair. Mm-hmm. Look for red or gold highlights. That means you're warm. If you if you don't see any red or gold highlights, that means you're cool.
Mm-hmm. And then our next step, getting into color analysis, is going to be light versus deep. So take a look at these models. Here on the left, we have our light model. And on the right, we have our deep model.
This is really easy because if you're medium to deep, you're deep. And if you're medium to light, you're light. Now, you may be thinking, well, what if I'm exactly medium? What if I'm exactly in the middle? Go deep, because that tends to be the way that it works. So it's really medium to deep, you're deep. And just above medium to light.
Light to light medium.
You're light.
Mm-hmm. All right, now we're diving into the fun stuff, which is looking at colors.
What does it matter? So you've determined whether you're warm or deep or cool or light. And so how do you put it all together? Quickly, if you're light and cool, you're a summer.
Yep.
If you're deep and cool, you're a winter. If you're light and warm, you're a spring. And if you're deep and warm, it's hard to remember when you do it like that. If you're deep and warm, you're an autumn. So now that we know kind of seasonally where you're going to head, and if you've decided that you want a white dress. Now, let me just say, these days, brides are wearing every color of the rainbow, and in your season, you can determine what's the best color for you. But our bride wanted a traditional white gown. So today we're going to talk about the traditional white gown, right? So what we're showing you on the screen are different versions of white gowns. And, maybe you never thought about it.
And I will say there is a million variations in between these colors as well. So don't think you have to match one of these. Absolutely. There are a ton of variations in this.
We're here to give you kind of a guideline.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that matters is the fabric that you choose. So I'll have Sarah just go through these colors with you, and then I will speak to textures and fabrics. Does that make sense?
All right, so our fabric swatches at the top, they're going to be our cool selection. And her fabric swatches at the bottom are going to be our warm selection. So cool seasons, summer and winter, warm seasons, spring and autumn.
Now, one thing I will say is that there is a white in a gown out there. And winters can wear that. It's a blue-based white. It's very, very white. And everything
It kind
else,
of casts that blue light. That's we always mention
you
it.
can always say when it's next to something that's off-white, it almost looks like it's got a little drop of blue in it. And just because I always like to go off topic and give you a little tip, bluing that they put in your laundry, you can put bluing in your laundry when you're washing your whites. Why is that?
Because make them whiter.
The whites look whiter and more, perfectly crisply white. But in a wedding dress, you can run into a little snag. So our bride is a winter. She would be absolutely gorgeous in the pure, crisp, absolute white. But she wanted blush-colored bridesmaids' dresses. When those lived in the same room together, many people just buy the gown and then they pick out the bridesmaids' dresses and they do it completely separate and think, well, I'm going to be in white anyway. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be different.
Right.
But when the gown that she really loved was placed next to the swatches for her bridesmaids' dresses, that gown looked blue. Just almost blue.
Right.
And so we backed off a little, and she ended up with a gown that was more on the top row toward the middle of the swatches we showed you. And as you can see by looking at the row below, beautiful with blush, with the blush colored swatches. But if you look at the one on the left, which was the cool, really crisp white.
The top left.
Yes, top left of your screen. It looked bluish and almost grayish, even though it was perfectly pristine white. So here's another tip, and it's something that you absolutely need to do with your clients or if you're a bride. Make sure that you look at the wedding dress and the fabrics of the wedding dress next to the bridesmaids' dresses and the fabrics of the bridesmaids' dresses, because there are other things that you want to look for. If you are going to have a really super ornate bridal gown, you need to kind of pull back a little bit and make the bridesmaids' dresses a little simpler. And if you're going with a really simple, sleek gown, then you can afford to do a little bit more with your bridesmaids' dresses and your flowers. And think in those terms. Think of creating an entire picture with you and your wedding party and your flowers, rather than picking those things piece by piece.
And this also applies to your flowers as well. You don't want to have your flowers competing with your dress or shifting that color of the dress, especially in your photos as you're walking up the aisle.
And for example, if you want white flowers and you're in a white dress, there is no such thing as a pure, super crisp white flower. Even if you get stephanotis, if you're doing lilies, roses, tea roses, what have you, white versions of all of those flowers are slightly tinted, kind of in one direction or another. So it's kind of important to either make sure there's some color in your bouquet as well, or enough, baby's breath or whatever to kind of fool the eye. But if you are a really fastidious bride and you want a pure white bouquet and a white dress, that might be a challenge. And let me just say that it sounds a little bit like I'm knocking the pure white gown. There's nothing more. Sarah, look at the bride over on the far left of the screen. She's gorgeous, but she has a cool skin tone.
Right.
She's got cool hair, so she can pull off that pure blue-white gown. And then if you look at the ladies in the middle, we still have other versions of white. We've got the blue-white on the left side with the lady with the black hair or the dark brown hair. She's a winter. and there's a lady next to her who has a more warmth to her. Her hair has a little bit of red. This gown, as you see, the white has shifted just a little bit toward yellow and red, just a drop, to be off-white. And then the last photo we have, it's just edging, the bride is edging just toward palest blush. And if you look at her next to the person who's dressing her, you can see the cool white in the lady's dress.
Right.
And that shows up that pale blush. But if you look at any of these brides out of context and just sort of look at them by themselves, they look like they're wearing white. It's
Right.
just, we're looking for nuance here.
Mm-hmm. And then last thing, jewelry.
This is just a fun little detail
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to have the opportunity to put all sorts of intricate decoration on your dress if you choose, or you can go very simple. It's up to you. But if you are adding decoration, we thought it would be nice to show you. Typically, you get the little seed pearls on your dress, or you may choose to wear pearls. But pearls is kind of a common theme throughout weddings, and we wanted to show you a little bit about all the different varieties. So Sarah, you take it away.
Well, this is just a helpful little guide to show you warm versus cool. And we can talk gold jewelry, silver jewelry. Once again, that just falls into these different warm versus cool.
Versus cool. And, if you decide that you want to go the pearl route, as jewelry, here you have something you can give to someone who loves you and say, I want the most gorgeous strand of pearls ever, and I want them in this bronze color, or I want them in this palest pinkish lavender color. Here, it's for you.
And remember, when you're bringing your look into harmony, you really do want to take a look at these nuances, because if you're going for a eggshell or slightly warmer dress, these pearls, these warmer pearls up top, are going to complete the look and give the color harmony. But if you're going for your pure white, if you're going for even those off colors that we talked about, that pale pink, the powdery pink,
or lavender. Sometimes,
right.
If you go in a bridal shop, and this was kind of a surprise to me. I hadn't really paid. Back in my day, the options weren't so varied. But these days, you can choose a white that has just it reflects just a hint of lavender. You can choose a white that reflects just a hint of pink. You can choose a slight off-white that might be reflecting a little bit of yellow. And ivory. Of course, you can choose an ivory.
You can choose a straight up black dress if you want.
Yeah. Listen, I want to say something right here. There is no rule anywhere, and I may have said this before, no rule anywhere that you have to choose a white dress. Ever. There's no rule. And I saw, in preparing these slides to give Sarah, I saw the most gorgeous, a black dress on a bride. I sent it to her. She didn't use it. But it was exquisite. And I was thinking, if I ever did this again, I'd wear a black dress.
Completely change up the rules.
Yeah. I hope that you found all these little nuances and details helpful for all of you color analysts out there. And for those of you who want to learn more about color, we are absolutely determined here on this channel to teach every single system of color, from 4 palette to 6 palette to 12 to 18.
Don't forget the 3 palette.
Yes, thank you. The 3 palette as well, tonal. We want to teach it all. Now, in order for you to get the best possible benefit out of that, you have to subscribe, because we can't do it all in one video. So if you would be so kind, please like this video and subscribe and join us to learn all about these different color systems and have a little fun along the way.
Lastly, I'm Sarah.
I'm Lucinda.
This has been a color class, and we will see you in our next video.